everybody out there on my socials. We're talking Facebook and YouTube. I am happy to bring you back to another Zero Down Wednesdays episode. And shortly, we'll get our guest on screen so that she can tell you all about what it means to have a zero down payment when it comes to purchasing your home. First off, I would definitely love to say thank you to everyone that has been watching us do these Zero Down Wednesdays at your lunch hour at 12 o'clock on Wednesdays. And we also want to thank everyone that shared the videos, liked the videos, commented on the videos to help us push our mission along forward. We want to make sure that we not only educate, but empower you all to participate in your own healthy healing when it comes to home ownership. Now that Samantha is on the line, hey Sam, you going to introduce yourself today?
How are you all doing today? Well, I am fine. I am trudging through the weather. I'm glad it's clear outside. I don't know if it's clear over there where you're at, Kia, because yesterday it wasn't. But it's a good time to be talking about real estate.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, what are we getting into this week? I know we've covered in previous weeks, we've talked about credit, we've touched over that a little bit, we've talked about conditions. What are we going to get into this week when we're talking about zero down payment options?
Income. This week is all about income and how we can get you what you need.
That is a
That's
touchy
what we're talking
subject
about.
because
No one wants to talk about it.
no, it's just that, when people come to me as a real estate agent, they're like, oh my God, I want to own a home. However, I don't think I make enough money. So today is all about showing you what are your sources of income and how we can use that in the process, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That is exactly what it's about.
All right, Sam, take it away. I'm intrigued to see what we got.
Alrighty, so let me get you, got a share screen today. Give me 1 second. I'll go ahead and do that for you all. Great thing.
Oh,
What is this
it's
thing?
tripping. I don't know what it is about when we get together. I do the troubleshooting before you come, and we still go into these little things with our tech. So it is what it is. But you should be good now.
All right, there we go. I'm going to choose the payment name. Tab. That's it. Here we are. Share. So I am going to present. I
And
hate not being able to see myself, but it's going to be okay. So we're here today. We're not here to pressure you. We're not here to confuse you. We are here to break down some assumptions as well as give you some real life examples. The one statement for today is you do not qualify for the house, but you qualify for the payments.
what does that mean?
So if someone is pre-approving you for $200,000, let's say, that $200,000 equates to a monthly payment. And let's say give a breakdown. We'll make this easy numbers. $1,000 for your principal and interest, $200 for your taxes per month, your insurance at $100 a month, and then your PMI, if there is any, at $100 a month. And if we did the simple math there, I don't know what it is, but we're looking at $1,500 a month in my mind. I just made that equation up. So we're looking at $1,500 equals a $200,000 home. That number can fluctuate because if you're going to pay a little bit more taxes, you have an HOA. So it's really the payment, not necessarily how much house, because the interest rates can go down. You may be able to get an interest rate of a 3.9 for some, builders offering incentives. So there's a variety of things that you're looking at. So it's not just, oh man, this house is $300,000 or 200. It fits in my budget. It's that payment we're looking at, not just the house itself. That makes sense. Hopefully, I clarified that for you.
Yeah, because in our industry, you used a couple of key terms, but you broke it down in a way. So we use PITI, and for those of you that are listening, when she just broke that down into what your payment is, what your interest is, what any mortgage insurance would be, and your taxes and the HOA, that's how they come up with that overall number. What I want to warn you guys is that when you're looking online, because we are such an internet driven world, and you're looking at these payments that are being listed online, make sure they include all those numbers she just ran down to you. Sam, can you repeat those just one more time from the lender?
Yes, so principal and interest is the first part of your payment. You would also have to pay taxes. We can't escape it, unfortunately. And they can increase, especially if you're buying a new development or they have not done taxes in a while. So some people say, oh my gosh, there was this one post, I don't want to segue, but there was this one lady that said buying a house was the worst thing she ever did because her taxes increased. But she bought in the beginning of a neighborhood, and back then the tax was very low. And by the time they completed the neighborhood, her taxes has went up from like $500 to $2,000 for the year, and she was very upset about it. But again, while we have you here and you're talking to your real estate agent, you have to know where you are in that situation. So you are going to have to pay taxes, and they can fluctuate. Homeowners insurance can fluctuate. If there's a big storm, it may impact you, but you have to still pay homeowners insurance to protect our investment as a lender, and you want to be protected. You might have private mortgage insurance because you're not putting 20% down. You don't have enough skin in the game, so you will have private mortgage insurance in some loan programs, unless you have a hefty down payment. Keep in mind, down payment assistance does count against that, so you could potentially not have to start off with private mortgage insurance if you have different forms of down payment assistance. And then you might have an HOA. Again, that is could be the deciding factor if you can live in that neighborhood or not, because a $300,000 house and $200 a month worth of HOA can increase your monthly payment to a point where you may not can afford it. So it is really the house and the monthly payment is what you're truly looking at. Because a house in the city versus a house in the country, both $300,000. One has city tax and country tax. The other one doesn't have city tax. So keep that in mind. There's five different parts of your monthly payment that you're paying into monthly for some people.
Thank you, Sam, for clearing that up. I know that people are eager beavers when it comes to online, and we want to make sure that with our Zero Down Wednesday series, we're dispelling some of those myths so that they have a better understanding of what they're looking at, and also want to book their own personal call with either you or me to go over these things so that they feel fully informed. Again, these consultations that we're offering are free. So please, guys, if you have questions that the internet just can't solve for you, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. That's what we're here for. That's why we're doing this Zero Down Wednesday series. Back to you, Samantha.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, yeah, people keep saying credit is the number one. I want you to have great credit. I'm not going to deny. I hope you have a 900 credit score if you can possibly have that. But don't let that be the deciding factor because income is the foundation. Income determines if you can move. Income determines what programs you qualify for. Income determines your debt to income ratio. So let your income be the driving force of what decision you make. You can work on your credit every single day if you like, but most programs, you got a 640 for opens the door for almost every program you can think about. And the second part is not going to be a humongous difference. You're not going to go from a 0% interest rate like a car to a 20% because you have a 600 versus a 800. It's not going to be that different, much of a difference. So your income is the most important factor in this equation because it determines how much you can truly afford. Unfortunately, back in the day, people had stated income docs, and they, based on what you said, if you said you made $1 million, they believed you. Now we require a whole lot more documentation. So that's the reason for all the paperwork.
Awesome. I love that you made that comment about how loans were structured in earlier times. It was some great legislation due to the housing bust of 2007, 2008 that has led to making sure that people can afford these homes. Ultimately, the government does not want you to get into a home that you cannot afford. Really, realistically, it's not good for the government because you're not paying taxes, which drives the economy and what they're able to do. It's not good for people that are building the homes. It's not good for the communities that you live in. It's not good for banks that are giving out these loans. So, of course, they want to make sure that your income that you have coming in is going to be able to take care of whatever debts that come from you owning your home.
Yes, all of what you just said. That is the most important part. People are like, you're digging in my business. I'm like, yeah, we don't want another crisis to happen. And I don't want to say let go of your parents and all those other people because, that generation, they said they made a million, they got their houses and they kept moving. Now it's a little harder. So just keep in mind your experience may not be like your parents, your aunts, your uncles that have bought in the previous years because some of them did a handshake and bought a house. You can't do that anymore. So keep in mind your experience is your own. But to qualify for income, we have to have it documented. We trust you, but we must verify. So we will do a verification of employment to your employer to make sure you are working there because some people quit their job after they get the house that they want. They go in there and they might act a fool and then they can't close on their home. Most of the time, it has to be consistent. We need to show that there's a history of receiving this income because if you haven't sustained it before, it's less likely you're going to sustain it in the future. And we expect it to continue. Yes, you can lose your job next week. It can happen. We project that you will continue to have that the same job that you had today once you close home.
All
Would
great
that be anything?
things. All great things. Because a lot of people think that if they haven't had the same job and they haven't been able to prove those gaps that they're not qualified. So I like how you were documenting. We just need to verify what you're telling us so that we make a determination based on you and what you bring to the table. Because this conversation between lender and potential homeowner is a private conversation. I want to tell you guys that not even I, as your real estate agent, will get into your nuances of your income. Trust me, I don't want to know. And I'm glad that we have professionals like Sam that can sort through all of that. Even though I was pretty okay at math, I don't want to revisit none of that and figure out how to carry the one or none of that when it comes to figuring out how much home you qualify for.
That is true. It's a new year. Some people say I got new life, new number, new job. All that is great. I'm not going to say you should not switch jobs. I'm not going to say you should not buy a car. I'm not going to say you should change your pay structure. This is different for truck drivers. They'll be like, you know what? They're offering 99 cents a mile over here. I'm getting paid $2 per minute or something. And then when it comes to continuous history, we can't verify. So that may happen. Or reducing your hours. You say, hey, it's tax season. I might work a little less because I'm going to get a tax refund. Don't do it. It's not the time. Talk to your loan advisor. We're here to help you through it. Maybe you can afford to reduce a little hours. Maybe you can afford for to switch jobs. But keep in mind, all of that changes the dynamics of your loan qualification. So I'm not saying don't do it at all. Make your goals and everything. But keep in mind that this year we will be looking at last year and the year before. So please keep that in mind as you're searching for your home. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep on rolling. So a lot of people get pre-qualified and not pre-approved. There is a huge, 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 huge difference between pre-qualified because that goes back to the stated income. If you say, hey, I make $18 an hour, you put that in the computer and they believe you and they don't have your pay stubs, then you may be in a situation where we may not calculate all 84 hours that you may have worked this last month or whatever not. So please get pre-approved. Pre-approved is where we look at your income, we verify your documents to make sure they are up to par, they're eligible, legible, we can read them. We'll reach out to your employer to make sure that you're still employed and how they calculate your income is the same thing that we have. And then we can apply programs to your income. If you make over a certain amount of money, you may not qualify for programs. So that is the major difference between a pre-approval and pre-qualification. I say always get a pre-approval, and although you can shop for the qual, it is a little bit better for you to do so with a pre-approval because we then verify, trust you, we understand what's going on, and you don't have as many surprises that populate based on the difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval.
Okay, stop right there because we need to spend a couple of minutes on this. I say this to people all the time, and they're like, "Well, I got the letter in the mail from my bank that says that I'm qualified to buy a house with worth $400,000." Please tell me and tell the audience what that traditionally is and how do they come up with those numbers that they see, or the ones where you qualify to get this car for $50,000. Please talk about that a little bit so that people can understand. We need to make it real world applicable, so to speak, because people are like, well, I don't really see it. They're both a piece of paper. So let's break down this in real life, how that looks.
So a lot of, I guess, a pre-qualification is like a pre-screening. If you get them in the mail, they're kind of monitoring your credit score is what really happens. So they're looking because you like when you apply for some of these loan programs or credit cards or even Credit Karma it says, hey, do you want us to suggest programs for you? So they're monitoring that for you. So that's where you get the pre-qualification from because a lot of them send out pre-qualification says, hey, you're pre-qualified, and then there's cute little small print at the bottom, which I'm sure y'all seen, 0% for well qualified buyers, da, 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 all of that matters.
That part.
So they're screening you to see, like, hey, this may be a program for you. They can't verify that it is because it says it's up to your income as well in the actual program when it's ran. So, yes, it is some validity to it. You may be able to qualify, but they haven't actually checked your income or anything. They're just sending you out pre-screen programs that you may like that you may can get. So it's totally different than an actual pre-approval. And the computer will generate a pre-qualification or pre-approval based on automated underwriting. And if you put in a few numbers, your name, social, all that thing comes in there, and you put in income, it may say yes, you may be a well qualified buyer, but it doesn't know that you just started your job 2 weeks ago and you put in that you make 80K a year and you get 20 of it from commission. It doesn't know all that about you yet. So that's the difference between when you get pre-qualified and an actual pre-approval. Usually someone has reviewed your income documents is the difference. So not to say you don't want to shop for the pre-qualification. You can have a lot of faith, but I don't have as much faith in a pre-qualification versus a pre-approval.
Right. And that's why, as your realtor, one of the things that I'm striving for, I'm not breaking your heart before we get this pre-approval. And when I say that, I mean this. We are not going out until you have had a conversation and actually had your documents provided to one of my lenders, because we need to make sure that when we go out and we look at a home, we can actually buy that home. And the lender is the only one that can tell us whether or not we can buy that home. One of the things that I also like to do before we go out is any homes that are on our list to make sure that we're touring, I send that information to the lender so they can tell you what it would look like in a monthly payment. Because Samantha can tell you a difference of a dollar or two. I don't know how, but a difference of a dollar or two at HOA can mean you don't qualify for this home. But that's something that we always want to make sure that we're bringing to your attention, because the whole object of going out with a client is to make sure that we find them the right home that fits all of their needs and that they're not going to be stressed trying to afford it. Right, Sam?
Yes, just because you get pre-qualified does not mean, or pre-approved or pre-qualified does not mean that we know your bills. We don't know that you pay your mom's light bill every month. We don't know that you pay for childcare, but we don't know all of those things about you. We may look at your bank statement and it can tell, but you don't want to be house poor. So you know what you have saved. You know how much you are willing to work. You know if you got a foot surgery coming up that may reduce your income. You know that you are a hustler and you will be willing to work the 20 extra hours that you've been working to qualify for that home. Only you know that. But we're here to help you strategize. But that's really a personal decision between you
This
and
list right
yourself
here for
what
this.
your belief system is. Like you, I had to think about what's the correct statement for that. Who that conversation is between you and your family. It's definitely a decision. If you're gonna stop drinking coffee every day or you stop going to Starbucks, that's something you know. We don't know that for you. We know what the numbers look like, and it says it'll work. We know how much money you have saved. We don't know what it took for you to get there, but we know how much money you got in the bank. So,
Yes,
but
indeed.
once you there's something me and Kia went to a community in Angier, and remember one side of the community was in Wake County, and the other side was in Harnett County. Remember that
Hmm.
community? I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it was a Taylor Morrison
But
build.
yes, you remember that one side, even if it's in the same community, the taxes in the Wake County was higher than the taxes in the Harnett County.
Yes.
So even though they were in the same neighborhood, they were at the same price point. What was the difference, Kim?
Yeah, yeah, the difference is what side of the street were you on. And this is the thing that amazes me about being in North Carolina. Coming from New Jersey, maybe, it's just my half-brained idea that if you have a city, it should be in one county, right? Not here in North Carolina. You can have one city and it's in four different counties. I've seen it, and it's amazing that you remember us that day at that community. And you're absolutely right, because I believe most of the community was on the Harnett side, and they were happy about it being on the Harnett side because for them they were like, oh, it's a little easier from a sales point of view as opposed to Wake County. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure either, but I remember when we looked at the numbers, it was like different payments, and kids said, okay, that's what the $5 difference is. That's why it's extremely important to have those conversations prior to going out, because maybe you can afford to live in Harnett County and do Harnett County schools. Maybe you need to be in the Wake County side. You just never really know. So one house, wherever the address is, can make a difference. And there are different programs for different counties as well, or different cities.
Yes.
So keep all of that in mind. But to get back to the topic here, the qualified income, what we typically can use, full-time income, part-time income with a history. You can't start your part-time job yesterday and think we can use that income. We can use overtime and bonuses with history. Even if you have a side hustle and you have been paying taxes and reporting the side hustle, seasonal income, say you mow lawns every summer for the last 5 summers, we can use that income if you have documented the income. Child support is a big one. If you're paying it, it's a deduction. If you're getting it, it may be able to help you. In some cases, alimony can help you too. Social security and pension. You can possibly even gross up, which grossing up is a term where since you're not paying taxes on it, we would gross it up so that if it'll show like how you're employed net income versus gross income. Same way happens with social security or dividends or interest. And you can possibly even use your Section 8 for some programs to be able to qualify for a home. So,
All
any
good.
suggestions or anything about that? Because I know there's some people that they wanted to use their Section 8. I can't say it's that easy of a process, but it can be done. So go ahead, Gil.
Those last two areas that you had where you were talking about the Social Security and Section 8, I know at some point someone is going to reach out to us and ask a question about that. But the answer to the most immediate question is yes, you can buy a home on Social Security or some type of income that you generate each month. Not necessarily what people think, oh, it's because I had to generate income from a job. You can use it. And yes, there are programs out here that support Section 8 housing, meaning you'll be able to use that voucher in the calculations, shall we say, that the lender uses to see what you're qualified for when it comes to getting into a home. So, yes, those are two big points. Let's get on to Bob because we had a good time talking about him yesterday.
Bobby has a really good smile. And Bobby makes $70,000 a year, everyone. So that $70,000, let's see, roughly is about $5,800 a month. There's a lot of Bobbies out here. And there's a lot of Bobbies out here sitting on the sideline waiting to make more money because they think they can't afford a house. And we're going to talk about how Bobby can afford that house. All right, so we got, wait a second. Okay, we have Bobby, and then we have Susan. She makes about $4,700 a month, which is a little less than Bobby. And guess what? She could possibly buy the same house that we're going to go over. And then we have Jane. Jane is switching jobs. And hopefully we have enough time to go over it, but it looks like we might go over. So we might have to talk about this on the next time.
We'll stay through. We'll stay through. Just keep pushing.
Okay. Well, we're going to stay here. This was supposed to be a link. And of course, it's just not going to work at this moment. So give me 1 second to pull up the Helm Street location there. Oh, it's already here. So I'm going to, hopefully this works. Like some of these things I'm used to. Am I sharing the whole entire tab? Is that correct?
You can.
Is it sharing now? Like what do you see now?
I just see the presentation itself. So go back, click, share, or shoot.
Tab instead.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. So we're going to talk about purchasing this particular house. And there are several different calculations to be able to buy this house. And the first one is going to be USDA, okay? Because that is a form of 100% financing, if you know about that or not. And it was easiest for me to just click on it because when I was doing it the other way, I had to click out, in and out. But with USDA, you would have no down payment. That does not mean no closing costs, but no down payment. So on this home, you're looking about $23.87 a month. Okay, and that does meet the requirements for him to do USDA for this house because it will be within the debt to income ratio that he is looking for. Yes, because he has no other debts and he has decent credit, so he would be able to buy this home with a USDA program if it was in the rural area. Yes, so with that being said, he doesn't have to bring any money to the table with this particular program. And remember this number here, the 2387. Okay. So then we talked about just putting 3.5% down. 3.5. So there are down payment programs that will just cover the down payment, which for FHA is about 3.5%. So they'll cover the $10,500 and making his payment $23.14. And then we have the magical moment. See, this is my favorite magical moment because if you're in Durham, how much DPA does Durham offer? Can you tell us about that real quick?
Durham, City of Durham, offers up to $80,000 in down payment assistance that you can use towards the purchase of your home, provided that you qualify. So anyone that needs that information, definitely reach out to me, 919-646-6199. Put in the hashtag and then put DPA, and I'll make sure you get that information.
So look at how low this payment has become with just the $80,000 down. Y'all see that? $1,642.
That's a whole $700 and some odd dollars, Samantha.
It is. You see how quickly that number has changed. And within that number, mortgage insurance is taken off as well. So you don't have to pay the extra fee for not putting the 20% down because you have this. And then, like you said, the City of Durham has the $80,000. Let's say they even added on that $15,000. Boom. Look how much affordable that house is.
Nice. I know people paying more than $1,500 in rent.
And it's a brand new construction.
Brand new. What's that? 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath?
3 stories. I like that's my favorite part. 3 stories.
You and these 3 stories. I'm a little older. I don't want to go up 3 stories.
3 stories.
Yes, look at this. This is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 1,700, a little bit over square feet home that you could potentially finance, provided on where you qualify, anywhere from $2,300 for Bobby to what was that, 1,700 or so if we're talking about Jane.
Yeah, all right, $1,500.
Th- th- you- Who doesn't want to know more about that?
I don't know who don't want to know more about it.
Same house, three different people, three different payments based upon which loan programs they qualify for. And Samantha is going to be the one that's going to tell you all about that. The biggest thing that you want to do with your lender is you want to have these conversations. A lot of times we just get so, I don't want nobody knowing all my business. But they have to, because in asking these questions, we find you more money that you could potentially use in the purchase of your home. Like if you're telling me that you're a vet, of course, we're going to look into veterans programs. If you're telling me that you're one of the first responders, we're going to look into those programs. We're going to look for everything to be able to take any money that we can from whatever government agency or private agency to help fund your home purchase. And the great thing about the lenders that I work with is that we do have the availability to stack programs. So you can take advantage of all the different programs that you qualify for. Now, that is a big, big nod, right, Samantha? Talk about that.
It is. It is. As we saw, the payments fluctuated. But in a normal circumstance without DPA, you may have to have Bobby's income of the 70K to buy that house. But with a DPA, Susan, who makes $4,700, could buy the same house and have a lower payment, will have a low payment if she was able to do down payment. So keep that part in mind where your income does help you. But sometimes, you're like, man, I need more income. I need more income. You don't need more income at times, because if you get that $100,000, what we talked about here, if you get that $100,000, I'm moving this over. If you get that $100,000, then you don't have to worry about where you're going to get the extra income from. You may not need a cosigner. You may not need anything. You just have to determine where you want to live, because there's so many different programs that offer that. And the percent of income, well, I think I moved a little bit ahead of myself, but that same person, Bobby and Susan, can both afford the same house. You don't have to make the major difference in income, like to be able to buy. So I'm stressing that today. Today's message is to stress. You may not need the $7,000 a month. You may not need the $8,500 a month. You may not need any of that. It's all about your debt to income ratio and where you want to live. Debt to income ratio is the most important factor. And in this case, Susan's $1,500 a month payment on this beautiful home here, because we 1551, it's only 33% of her income. Only 33%. She still has money left over.
Exactly. All good points.
Don't want to be house poor. Don't want to be house poor.
Yes.
So the payment outcome, and I had cute little pictures to go along with it to show you, but I decided I was going to talk it out to explain it. So we have managed to do that in the amount of time. I didn't think we could do it so quickly, but we did. But the main point to stress is this part here. This $95,000 is a difference maker. Knowing that you can possibly have your down payment, let's say you didn't qualify for any of these things and you just wanted to do a traditional, click on it, a traditional 3.5% down payment program, right? And you
on the other side.
Yeah, I got it. I have split screens here. So let's say you did and you paid the $2,300 a month, and whatever reason, let's just say I'm going to do this income qualification for this hypothetical person here. So 2314, and you have whatever great situation going on with you. You can have an income of only $5,700. 58, let's just say, go a little bit over, but $5,800, and you can still get into this home potentially with some of the down payment programs. So it's really based on your situation, your income, what you can use to qualify. These down payment options are all here to help you. Don't wait until you have the $10,000 to say, hey, I want to shop, I want to have a conversation. Have those conversations up front. And I didn't even mention the fact that builders be having all kinds of great deals available to them as well, and they can offer you even lower interest rates sometimes. So use what you have Don't wait until you feel like the perfect situation has come for you to be able to buy. If that's child support, you know you get child support every day, and your child is turning 18 in 3 years, go ahead and buy the house now. Like the income may decrease later, but we need a 3 year history for that. We need you to be getting child support for the next 3 years. If you have a child on Social Security or your spouse is on Social Security and they plan on getting off, use what you have. Like use what you have today, and you don't have to be taking having Social Security for 3 years in order to use it. You can be just getting on Social Security yesterday, and you have the letter. Go ahead, and buy it. Look at buy it. You're in the process. You're getting close. You may not be out for another 60, 90 days, but you're getting there. Give us a call. We can, run the numbers for you. So everything is about when money is available. And again, different parts of the county, different parts of the state, different parts of the city may have even more programs that's available based on your job. I know, like the city of Fayetteville, for instance, if you are a resident and you work for the city, you get an extra bonus. I think an extra 10K for just being an employee. So shop, talk to your realtor, see what they know, because you may be able to qualify today, just today, and you don't even know it because you haven't checked with the right people. So yeah, that's what I have to say. I'm off my soapbox. I feel like I've gotten a little passionate today about this.
I'm over here cracking up because usually I'm the one that's all animated, and you were on your soapbox today, and I just got to sit back, watch, and listen, and it was great to hear. So, in closing out today, we just want to say first and foremost, thank you guys that tuned in and will watch this. Please like, share, comment, get at us. I'm telling you, we are not the enemy. We're here to help you develop a plan that's going to help you bring about the dream of home ownership that you wish to see. Most important conversations you will ever have is with the lender. They are the money. Yes, I'm going to help you find a great home, but she's going to find you the money. That's the most important conversation. It's an opportunity for you to be vulnerable and to take that time to say, this is what I'm working with. Let us know that, and then we can move on and find the best help possible. Sam, closing thoughts before we get out of here today.
Get pre-qualified today. My first thought is get pre-qualified today. Tax season is here. You'll be, for some people, not everybody's going to be getting some money. Those who are self-employed, you can still buy a home too. Remember, we're looking at your taxes as well, so please have us talk to you before you do your taxes, because some people want to write off everything. You can't write off everything and buy a house at the same time, although there's programs for that. So don't write off everything and then like, man, I don't have the money, I don't want it. But those are my three things. Is just give us a call, like have the conversation. It doesn't harm you. Not everybody's gonna check your credit initially, but at least you know your ratios. That's one of the major parts. You know your quotes. Like, okay, you know what? I'm in the position. I'm in the ballpark, and then you can work on saving the money. You can work on doing everything after. Maybe there's not even need to save any money because you're gonna get down payment. Kia's gonna make sure she gives you a Bob.com deal where she structures it where you get some closing costs paid. Like that's not even the whole conversation. That's the whole conversation its own. How to structure the deal to make sure you come out as least as possible. Some people buy homes and pay absolutely nothing at closing. There's some people. You might be lucky. I don't know. I can't say everybody's gonna have that experience. But don't let your current situation or what you think as a regular person that is not a loan officer or a realtor stop you and determine your future. That's it. That's all. I'm done with that.
Exactly. And we're signing off from another episode of Zero Down Wednesdays with your out and about realtor Kia and Sam the lender. See you guys. I think we're on next week. So see you guys then.
Yes, be safe, stay warm.